Welcome to Fast Five, where our two panelists in this case talk about 5 topics in 7 short minutes. Let's get started. Ron,
Yes.
Governor Hogan signed or has directed that he's going to pull border troops in protest to separating families, which may not happen now because I understand President Trump signed an order ordering that they not separate families. But what is your thought process of Governor Hogan taking the side of families in this debate?
I think Governor Hogan has dealt with the issue in the country, and that's why his popularity is where it's at now. He hasn't gotten involved in some of the shenanigans that the administration has. I think he's only really talking about a helicopter with 4 people.
No, I get
but
it. That's not the point.
It's the point of what he did. He says, we're not going to be part of this. I admire him for it. I think he understands that we need to be a country that is seen as a country with compassion and care for our, not just our children, but for everybody. And what's happening in the world has cried out for what we're doing.
They have. And, you know, I think there's a fine line. I think we need to enforce our laws. But I think there's a fine line in how that enforcement takes place. And I think this certainly, in my view, has crossed it. So.
Well, crossing a border to gain admittance or to get asylum into this country, is that breaking the law?
According to our laws, yes, it is.
Is it really?
And if they don't want it to be, they need to change the laws. But again,
Not necessarily.
Okay.
You can go down and break the speed limit many times. Okay,
That's
you're
true.
allowed 13 miles an hour over the speed limit.
12 miles an hour, but okay.
Well, 13 really in the school zone.
Okay. All right. All right. Rentals. The City Council is talking about changing the rental property deal again. They're suggesting that they are going to do rental inspections not just when a tenant moves out, but potentially every 3 years, even if it's the same tenant. So, Ron, you're renting an apartment. We're going to have a city inspector come in and just take a look around and make sure everything's okay. What are your thoughts on that?
I have no problems. If you're renting, that's the way it should be. And the way it happens now, the landlord is supposed to notify the city that a renter has moved out. They don't do it.
Okay.
So you have a lot of landlords in the community that wreak havoc on the entire rental issue, and everybody pays a price for it. But for every 3 years, I don't see anything in the world the matter with having a rental inspection every 3 years.
You don't see a problem with somebody coming into someone's private residence and looking around and doing an inspection, even though it's a private residence?
If you're not doing anything wrong, I don't think you should fear anything. If you're doing something wrong and it gets caught, that's your problem.
Okay, I see it as an invasion of privacy. I don't think it'll hold up. Number one, I don't think the city council is going to pass it, or I hope they don't.
What do you
But
mean
if
an
they do,
invasion of privacy?
it is an invasion of privacy, Ron. How is it not? Would you want
They're
somebody to come
inspecting
in?
a building.
No, they're inspecting.
Are they coming in to
your home.
inspect your bank account? No. Are they coming in to inspect your checkbook or something else personal? No. They're checking a building.
If you have 3 cases of beer or whatever it is sitting in your kitchen and you don't want people to know that, I think that's your right.
Well, then put it away before the inspection.
Yeah, or just don't do the inspection.
No, I don't agree.
And in terms of the turnover, I would argue that through water records and electric records, the city should know when there's turnover in rental properties. And if they don't, that's an information system problem, not a
No, they
reporting
wouldn't,
problem.
because a lot of the times the owner of the property pays the water bill and the renter pays the owner. So it doesn't change. And neither does the electricity.
Sometimes.
Most times.
Okay. Do you think most of the renters or do you think most of the landlords are problematic? Do you think it's the majority of landlords?
Absolutely not. We have a lot of great landlords.
So then the argument is, why are you penalizing the 90% for the 10% that are at the problem? Why don't you go after the 10% that you know to be the problem?
Well, they can do that. That's an alternative.
Would you agree that that's
I don't have any
potentially-
problem with
okay.
going in. And there's just watch the hearings. Watch who shows up at some of the hearings.
Yeah.
And then
Let
you
the
can see
record
where
show
problems
Ron
are.
just agreed with me on that one. Okay. Richmond School District renaming a school. It was JEB, which was a
Jeb Stuart.
Right, Jeb Stuart, Confederate General, renaming it to the Obama School. What do you think on that one?
I have no problem with it. I don't know why Confederate generals hold a special place anywhere. The Confederacy seceded from the country. The Confederacy fought the United States. They shot on the American flag, so to speak. So why would we honor a Confederate general after they seceded from the country?
Well, I don't disagree with that at all, and I don't disagree with the idea of changing it. The thing that I do have an issue with is we seem at some level to be trying to erase what happened from our history, and we can't. And I was always told that the surest way to repeat history is to forget about it. And I'm concerned, not that I would ever think that we would do something along those lines, but we might do something else equally stupid. Like separating families at the border.
And that's what they've just done. So now, what do we do?
My point is that I don't think we should get rid of all of the reminders of the past, even though
You don't
it's
have
not
to
a great
honor them
past.
by naming significant
I
things
agree.
after them.
I agree 100%. I agree 100%. But again, we're trying to erase the whole thing in my mind.
Erase what?
The history.
How is the South seceded?
Yes.
In my opinion, Robert E. Lee, where did he get his training? Taking part of Mexico to make up the United States. So he got his training after he left West Point. Then he becomes a Confederate general. I was in the movie Gods and Generals where he gave his acceptance speech of becoming commander of the Virginia militia. And then later he became commander of the Confederacy, the Confederate Army. And then he fought the United States. And that's supposed to be, we have a problem with a football player kneeling at the flag being, and the national anthem being played at a football game. But say nothing about this, I don't get it.
Say nothing about what?
Say nothing about a school being changed.
No, I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I do too.
Okay, we agree again. All right, GE is being removed from the Dow Jones Industrial Average and replaced by Walgreens. What say you?
Walgreens is far more representative of health care, of goods that's sold, of healthcare providers. And I think the industrial age of General Electric has somewhat subsided. And don't forget, the Dow Jones is an indication of what? The people with money, what they made for the day. That's like the economy is good now. If you're rich, the economy's good. If you're not rich, the economy isn't that good. The Dow Jones, just because the Dow Jones is at 24,800 today or under 2,500, does that mean the economy's doing great? No, that's an indication of what 30 different companies are worth.
Right. Okay, that's all the time we have for tonight. We hope, however, that you will follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and send comments and suggestions to feedback@theflipsidetv.com. That's feedback@theflipsidetv.com. And most importantly, we hope you will join us again next week for another trip to the flip side.